The following content is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marina Sprocki, and I'm the host of Always Another Way podcast. I have a master's in professional counseling. I'm the IPPY Award-winning author of Stop Looking for a Husband, Find the Love of Your Life, and Nasty Divorce, A Kid's Eye View. I write positive divorce advice for the HuffPost, and I'm trained in clinical hypnosis. And this podcast speaks to out-of-the-box thinkers, and it's for those who hear the call of hope and always another way. And if you're very rigid and set in your beliefs, this is probably not your cup of tea. However, you should note, tastes can and do change. And I just want to thank everybody just once again for listening and for sharing all of these super good things. And if you can, go to iTunes and subscribe and rate, because it will bump the podcast up more and you can listen to all of my awesome guests here. And today, I am so excited. I'm so excited about all these, but about my guest today. And if you are a person who's lived in this world for some amount of time, there is no doubt that you've been inundated, depending on where you're from, with images from media, television, print, your family, your friends, peers, on your looks. And as we know, you look the way you look, depending on your genes and your parents. So some of that, you get what you get. And then other things are controlled by a lot of other factors. But that being said, I know myself, I can only speak to myself personally, have struggled with body image for a long time. And especially as a child, like you don't care because you see little kids and they'll wear, I have pictures of my kids wearing the craziest shit, like goofy, doing stuff, and they don't care. But then as you get older, you start being like, oh, I don't know, is this showing? Is this tight? Is this, whatever? What can they see in my bathing suit? And those little wheels start turning like, well, and if I bend, what is it doing? Is somebody not going to like me if I'm, not perfect? And then that being said, there's it can cause a whole bunch of disorders. I'm 47, and still sometimes I was telling my guest Alix that I vacillate between vain and not. And so sometimes I really care, and I'm just worried about like, oh, why does it look this way? And this is, the million things you say. And other times like, I don't care. Like people will like me or they won't. But how do you find that balance between, well, I'll tell you, or actually I'm not going to tell you, my guest, Alix Barth, and this is what she has to say. Her work is getting to lead people in living better and feeling their best. And better yet, she teaches people how to sustain the new lifestyles they find through this process, which is so important. If you've ever started the millions of diets and then by day 3 you're like, fuck this, So she helps people get off the diet roller coaster, and she truly teaches them how to live and how to establish lifelong habits, practice moderation, and find true health within their balance, boundaries, and reality. She's passionate about what she does. She had a battle with anorexia, and as she started gaining experience in nutrition at an early age, through that, she developed an absolute passion for sharing her story and educating others about the truths of food and the body, not what society or diet culture tells us. Not one body is the same, so how can we treat each person the same and expect the same results? Amen to that. So her passion is to educate and pour her heart into each and every person who calls on her for help. Society screams extremes, and her goal as a nutritionist is for anyone that she has the privilege to working with to be a healthier, more balanced individual where they want to be, both inside and out. So welcome to the show, Alix.
Thank you.
I love that.
Thank you. I feel like a celebrity right now.
You are a celebrity. I know it's funny I didn't say this. Like, I did not know. I had no idea what an eating disorder was actually until college.
Yeah.
And I saw these girls like throwing up in the bathroom, and I was like, oh my God, you guys sick?
Right.
And they're like, no, we're like throwing up to what you eat. I'm like, why do you just not eat? Like, not even knowing that
Sure.
that's also not a good thing to
Right,
say.
correct.
Too. And so then I was like, well, does that work? And I'm like, so what, and I was just trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
And then just like, and I hate to throw up. So I was like, that lasted like one time and I was like,
Yeah.
nah, never mind. I'm not into that.
Yeah.
But I know it's about something else besides just weight loss. There's deeper
it's
things.
Typically about control.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's dive in and start with you. Like, where did you had an eating disorder at an early age. What do you want to share, like how that started? And then we'll work up to.
Yeah, sure. So being fully transparent, so my parents divorced when I was about a year old and just had a pretty vicious custody battle. And really until I was about 15.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I was back and forth quite a bit between both my mom and my dad. Very loving parents, great childhood, but had very little control over where I was, when I was there, who I was with. It was always very much controlled either by my parents or by the courts.
Sure.
And
kids,
so,
you can feel that. That stuff's going on, that
absolutely.
contention. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So what I always say though is I was fought for sure.
Yeah.
Right. Which was psychologically speaking is huge. But I also did not have any control whatsoever over my life. And so I looked at food. And it seemed like the most reasonable thing to grab control of. Now, granted, that was not my thought process when I was, getting into anorexia and just not eating.
Yeah.
It was not, I don't have control somewhere else, so I'm going to do it here. Obviously, it was very subconscious. But started, counting my calories. I was eating like 1,100 calories a day, and I lost a lot of weight. And
can I ask you this real quick?
Sure.
Were there other girls around that were talking about weight and stuff that influenced that, or was it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I was probably on the more extreme end, but I did have a very good friend that walked through all of that with me. Like we both kind of fed off of each other.
Okay.
And then honestly, both went through a lot of healing together as well. But yeah, no, it was definitely.
Like that was a little
community.
seed that helped a 15-year-old to say like, oh, this is where I can take this control. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So, and then from there, I really grappled with it on and off. It started really when I was about 14 or 15. And then, and I'll back up just a little bit. Growing up, when I would come on visitation or go on visitation with my dad, he lives in Dallas, or used to live. It was born and raised in Dallas, and so my grandmother, his mother, is here. And actually, just had dinner with her last night. I just say, and I'm actually writing a book right now, and I am dedicating it to her because she is the reason that I have gotten into nutrition. My mother was. I was born kind of in that fat-free craze, right? And so when I was at home, I ate sugar and all of that, but I never, she just never fed me fat ever. Yeah. And then I would come to my grandmother's house, and I mean, she's Italian and just way ahead of her time. And all the good food, but she was just we were eating grass-fed meat. We were eating, grass-fed
real
butter.
Food. Yeah.
We were eating she was so early for the time, but she was replacing half the flour in muffins with bran.
Oh wow, yeah.
You know what I mean? She was doing those things. And so, I came to her house and got fed, right? Really got nourished. And she taught me a lot about cooking and about food and about how it fuels us. And that's when I was much younger, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then anyway, the eating disorder kicked in at about 14. And then, grappled with that definitely all through college, and then through, outside of college as well. Started seeing a counselor and went through all of that. And
was that just something in you that are like, hey, this is getting out of control, I want to do something different? Or how did you kind of come to that? Yeah,
it's a great question. It was such a prison. I mean, food, and I used to always say, I wish it was alcohol. And I don't literally, but I mean, God, could it be something that I don't have to face 3 times a day?
Oh, right. Because you need to eat to live.
Yes, exactly. It is, I have to learn my way around this.
Yeah.
And so I actually tried out for the Mavericks dancers in 2008, and a friend of mine was going on some carb cycling routine, which of course, for an anorexic brain, I mean, that was just ooh, sign me up. And so got on that and lost my period for about 6 or 8 months. And my grandmother same one I mentioned earlier, we were talking because I called her and I was like, what should I do? Like, you know, I don't feel good. Like I could barely even hold the phone up to my ear without my arm just getting fatigued. Like I felt awful.
Yeah.
And so she said, listen, I just want you to come move in for 3 months. And through wild caught salmon and whole eggs and good avocados and coconut oil and olive oil and feeding me, I literally had my period back within 30 days.
Wow.
And it was
Isn't that amazing how much
it was unbelievable. And I will tell you, and I did some homeopathy with it, and I did just a lot of stress reduction. And like I was not working out very much, doing some yoga, things like that, but nothing intense. And it was just unbelievable to me. And I was a personal trainer at the time, and I was kind of dabbling in nutrition. And then it was through that I decided, like, this is what I want to give to the world.
Yeah.
This is, like, to be able to heal our bodies through eating good whole foods. It was just... it was a no-brainer for me. So got licensed in nutrition and have been practicing part-time, really took it full-time in the last year or so. But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's,
okay.
So does that answer?
That's awesome. And so you worked your way up to here, and then like, so tell us like what you do with like, like people that come to you and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh,
So
works,
I have kind of 4 phases that I take clients through. And first of all, I work in a very immersive way with clients. So really digging deep on triggers, emotional issues around food, control issues around food. And because at the end of the day, we have to figure out what the root cause is that has gotten somebody to the place they're in. And that's why I'm very anti-diet and don't subscribe to, any kind of way of eating specifically. It's different for every person and every person's lifestyle and what they like and what they don't.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, what I have found is that when I get the opportunity to really dig in with clients who are open to it, and we figure out what the root cause is that has gotten them to where they are. And I'll give an example. So past client, we did a lot of work around his parents. He was physically abused by his father as a child. And anytime that happened, he would get sent up to his room afterward.
Yeah.
And his mother would always come into his room and give him, and he always said
something.
Chicken pot pie.
Okay. Yeah.
That was like the thing.
So her saying like, I'm so sorry this happened.
That's right. I love
Feel
you.
good.
Yes. And so his entire life, truly, until we worked together, he was like, I have never put 2 and 2 together. He just, for him to feel...
Because if it's normal for you, you don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For him to feel full and to eat a good amount of food, man, he associates that with being loved and comforted.
Yeah.
Right? And it was great. We figured that out. And I kid you not, literally for the rest of our time working together, I never had to ask about food. Like his log was just great. I just never even had to, it was no big, it was unbelievable, like the breakthrough.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean when I say, we have to figure out what the root cause is for people. And then once we've, kind of figured that out, and all of this is happening over the course of, clients work with me.
Yeah.
But, so it's not necessarily in a perfect order, but we have to prevent people from continuing down the path that they're on.
Yeah.
Right. And so just educating people on food. And I tell clients, listen, at the end of the day, I want to be the last nutritionist you ever have to work with. And that's why I want to go as deep as I want to go.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then I what I call my reversion process. I take people through. We do a lot of story work, and that's where you would.
I love this stuff.
Yes, you would be interested for sure. So really shifting, reframing language, right? From passive to affirmative. I'll probably hit my goals in 2020 to I will hit my goal of, fitting in size, 8 jeans by January 30th, right? Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Getting very specific around things and affirmative, and beginning to speak in that way over your life, into your life, and certainly it'll bleed onto the lives of others. And I found that to be a huge impact. But on top of that, also doing like shifting narratives, right? Because we all, and you know this so well, I mean, we all have these made up narratives, right? About
all the time.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
they get juicier.
Oh, yes, exactly. And I can't even believe how much I was even talking myself through one today. I don't even know where it came from. Like, I just have some narrative made up about some other person that I've just convinced myself is how they must feel.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's crazy.
I do that all the time.
Yes. I'm literally walking my dog.
Until I tell myself,
I'm
like, wait, that's not true.
Yes.
Or I don't know that that's true.
That's correct.
You
Yes.
know?
This was completely made up out of thin air. Yeah. But what I found is that usually, and you know this well, I'm sure, but starting in childhood, there was some kind of trauma or it didn't even have to be something massive, but it could be literally like a teacher or a parent at one point, man, they said one thing. And it has been the one thing that has stuck with you.
That was Karen Carpenter. Like, somebody said one thing about her. And you don't know who's going to pick on something, which is why words are so important.
Absolutely.
Both ways. And just like you said, even for like goals, if you say I probably versus I will.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Use it to your advantage.
Yes. Yes. And then following that, I mean, that's one of the biggest things that we do in our work together is, just making sure that clients have an environment set up for them that's going to give them sustained success, right? And that's the thing. I mean, I send meal plans to clients, and I harp on this with them. I'm like, listen, if it's not doable for you, because when you start like a new program and you're just excited about it, right? And so you're like, oh, I'll do anything, right? And then it catches up with you in about 3 weeks, and you're like, oh, this is a lot. Like, I don't want to have to meal prep this much, or I kind of don't like broccoli as much as I thought maybe I did when I was, and that's what I tell clients. I'm like, listen, this has to work for you. And so if it's too much meal prep, let's pull back. Like, let's create some other options. If you don't like broccoli, no problem. Let's find something else, right? And so every phase, and certainly every meal plan is very customized. And that's the thing. It's overarching, I coach anti-inflammatory nutrition.
Yeah, so let's talk about like how important like anti-inflammatory stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
super,
inflammation is
just keep going on.
I mean, is the root of all. I mean, it really is. And so that's what I found. It's literally, I work with a lot of clients on gut health, and I've got a client who we shifted her to a completely anti-inflammatory regimen, which will begin as we heal her gut to add some things back in as she gets better. But so it's not for life, but it literally within a week, her digestion was almost normal.
Amazing.
And she was literally when we talked, she was like, I literally can't take my grandkids to the park right now.
Oh, wow.
Because I have to
your
have a
bathroom
bathroom.
situation.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's just huge.
And that's debilitating when you have like other issues that are based around that, for sure.
Absolutely. So, so, and then just, as far as, foods go, it's really a broad range of, that's the thing. I think a lot of people, they think, oh, I'm going to work with a nutritionist. She's going to give me, I literally had a client say this the other day. She was like, you sent me the first meal plan. And before I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, get ready. Like, it's going to be broccoli and chicken and, brown rice or whatever. And she was like, I can't tell you how much I love this food. Like, it's just so good. And it really, because that's the thing. Like, it's, I'm very upfront with people. I'm not the nutritionist that you want to come see if you need to lose 30 pounds in a month for your wedding. Yeah. Right. I'm not that nutritionist. I'm the one who, if, you want to change your life. And so it's not going to happen quickly. Yeah. Right. It takes time. And
I love that you're so honest, because that's true. Because everybody's searching, myself included, for magic bullets.
Oh my gosh, we all are. I tell people that all the time. I'm like, oh my God, I would give anything to be able to just hand you a pill and say, everything is going to be, exactly as you want.
How big do you want your biceps?
That's right. Exactly. Here, take this. Yeah. No, for sure.
Wouldn't that be cool? And that's what's so nice, just like hearing you about like what people listening know, like if you've just tried things and you're trying things and you're trying things and you're trying things and it's not working. Sometimes, I think, and maybe you find this in your clients too, people have a tendency is like, it's me. Like, I just can't do it. But maybe you're even set up the wrong way.
Absolutely.
Like you said, if it's not something you're going to eat or do, you're signing up to fail.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. No. And that's where I'll, dig in more, and I don't want to be a broken record, but diving into that root cause, right? And listen, and I work with a lot of clients on this level as well. Sometimes the root cause has nothing to do with emotions.
Yeah.
Like I've got a lot of clients who come to me and they've done a tremendous amount of psychological work around their childhood and, all of that. It's such a thing today, which I'm so grateful for.
Well, now that they know, it affects you.
Yes, it does.
Research proven. If you didn't know that, like on your own.
Yes, very much so. And so, but oftentimes, like I'll have somebody come to me and they've worked through their trauma and they've dealt with things, but man, they cannot lose weight. Okay, well, we need to start looking at hormones. We need to start looking at, underlying issues, because sometimes it has nothing to do with, yes, we could clean up your food, for sure, and perhaps get you on a different workout routine. But at the end of the day, if the inside isn't working correctly, I've got some clients who have dealt with all their trauma, et cetera. They've got, great blood work numbers, but they are stressed to the max, right? They're going to have a tough time losing weight. And so we have to start working through those pieces. So that's where I say, it's really, everybody's so different. Yeah. So everybody's so different, but it does, because I know it can get very frustrating when you've tried this and this and this and this and nothing is working. But there, and that's, there are so many things that we can try, right? That a lot of people don't know. Like they think, oh, I'll just go keto.
Yeah.
Right. Or, they'll try and pick one of the, the latest diets and it could work for a little while. And I'm not opposed to keto. It could work for a little while, but, I always come back to the question, is it sustainable?
Yeah, that's really, really good. And so what's the how long do you think all the process is for how long do you usually have clients for?
Sure. Yeah, great question. So I work with clients in 3-month blocks, right? So I ask for 3 months up front. And then I've got some clients who are just out of the gate, they follow the structure, they make it to every single call that we have and, always responsive to texts. I'm checking in almost daily with clients. And so, on top of their food log and all of that, and they're going to get the most out of the program, right? Out of their work with me. And it really depends on the client. Typically clients will end up spending 6 months with me, just because once the initial 3 months is done, they just want that added accountability, right? I just want to solidify this thing.
Yeah.
But I've got, a couple clients with autoimmune issues. And that has just taken a significant amount of time, so I've got one client who's been with me for almost 11 months now.
Yeah. So tell me, can we talk a little bit about, and I know you're not saying any specific names, but people with autoimmune stuff and I know diet can do a lot of stuff
my gosh.
for that. Yeah.
Yes. And really,
or things that maybe people also that you want to talk about that people don't know, what diet can really affect, because I think there's sometimes there's a disconnect of people to think that what they're putting in their body has anything to do with anything physical. And a long time ago I had somebody tell me, as she was vegan, and so I was trying to get everybody to go that, but on this cheese, and I'm I love cheese so much, and it had all these stuffy nose and in my throat. Not sick. And then she's like, well, maybe just try to eliminate dairy. There's an ear, nose, and throat dairy allergy. And I'd been to multiple ENTs, really good ones. We're going to do surgery, and then I can't take decongestants. I have a speed, of any kind makes me like this. Claritin D is just And so I was just oh, whatever, and just never surgery. And as soon as I stopped eating dairy, in 3 weeks, I was like, oh my God.
I do.
I've been eating dairy lately.
I tell clients that all the time. I'm like, if you ever have a cold, the 2 things you just got to cut, and not for health reasons, for losing weight or anything, but sugar and dairy. You just got to cut them completely, because it will just exacerbate all of that.
Yeah. And that high did not. So I did that, and I was like, oh, wow. But before I was not trying to believe her, because I was like, geez.
Yeah.
And then when I finally was like, okay, it's one food group, 30 days. Come on, Marina. Just try.
Right.
And then I did, and I was like, well, but then I would tell people that, and they'd be like, that's not true. And I'm like, you're not in my body. Right. You do not even know that this is true or not. But flat out look at me as if I just said 5 and 5 is 6. And they're like, liar. No, not a liar.
Yeah, no, I think, I think that's right on, obviously. I don't remember, what were you?
Oh, so tell me about some of your transformations with people that come in with stuff and what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were talking about autoimmune.
Yeah,
That's
autoimmune,
right.
yes.
And so I've got a couple clients that I'm working with. One in particular who has had ulcerative colitis. And what I've found is, regardless of the autoimmune, frankly, regardless of whatever anybody comes to me with, even if it's like thyroid issues or any kind of hormonal issues, or if it's just an issue with just weight loss, right? Like all their blood work is fine, they're just having a tough time losing weight. It really comes down to gut health, and I'm sure everybody out there is familiar, but because it's so popular right now. But 80 or so % of our immune system resides in our gut, and so you imagine if your immune system, if your gut isn't functioning correctly, and obviously that's going to affect your immune system. And so if you can get the gut back in order, then you can pretty much get everything else back online. But it takes some diligence, right? So I've got this guy who's had ulcerative colitis, and we've actually gotten him into remission, weaning him off of his meds actually as we speak. This is his last week on them.
That's amazing.
No, it's unbelievable.
And life-changing.
It's unbelievable. And I do want to say, anytime I've got a client that's got any kind of root cause issues like that, be it thyroid or anything like that, autoimmune, I do have them work with my functional medicine doctor here in Dallas. So,
Nice.
And he's terrific.
So you got somebody else keeping
Absolutely.
a
Yes. And
tablet.
on the medical end, because I do not pretend to be, I am not a doctor. I cannot, I wouldn't, and that's one of the things that I shared with this guy. I was like, listen, I don't feel comfortable taking you off of the meds. We need somebody else supervising.
Yeah.
And so through both of us, I've taken care of all of his nutrition and then help with supplementation and all that. But through both of us, it's taken us about 11 months. But he was diagnosed, he'd had symptoms for, I think, about 6 months before he reached out.
Yeah.
And so really to get him healed in a year, it's
That's
pretty significant.
impressive, yeah.
No, it really is.
People have that for lifetimes.
Absolutely.
And
It
years
turns
and
into
years.
Crohn's.
Yeah.
Right. And I've lost a cousin to it.
Oh,
So
man.
no, it will sure kill you. So.
And so what kind of health things do you think that people I know this was just like a spur of the moment
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Like that maybe they're thinking just like that with digestive issues or other signs that maybe something is going on, that you could use some things just to make your life better. Even if you're thinking it's okay. I'm a couple pounds overweight. Maybe I take high blood pressure meds. I'm cool. But you don't really need to take any, maybe you do, but you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Stuff.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So some of the signs to watch out for are if you're breaking out really bad, if your skin is breaking out, or if you get any kind of rash or anything like that, eczema, anything like that. And all of that is literally just excess inflammation. Or if it's your skin, it could be some inflammation, but it could also be for women specifically, it'll be an increase in estrogen. So meaning we're not clearing estrogen fast enough, right? And so, and we clear it through our detoxification pathways, right? Which would be sweat, right? And through digestion. And so if your digestion is off, then you're not going to clear correctly or in the amount that you need to, right? And so, those would be some of the things that, people tend to be a little surprised about. But genuinely, I have found that almost anything random that pops up on the body, right? Be it an achy knee, acne that you're 35 or 47 and you're like, why am I dealing with this?
Right.
What is this being a teenager, right? Truly, it's your food. It really is. And I don't mean to be an extremist that way. It could certainly be stress, but generally speaking, it is your food. And eating processed, highly processed foods, high in vegetable oils and things like that. It's just going to exacerbate it. It really is. And sugar, which I hate to tell y'all.
I know.
It really is the devil. It really is. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my coconut cake, and so I'll do that every now and then.
But it's highly addictive. I tried to quit actual sugar once, and I used to smoke cigarettes.
Did you
and
really?
I used to think I don't know which one would be harder here, the cigarettes or the sugar. And then you're allowed to have sugar-free popsicles.
Yeah.
And I was doing it, and my husband said, I was like, how many of those shall I eat? I'm like, as many as I want.
That's so funny.
But then once I finally did, with the help of some sugar-free popsicles for a second, did get off like sugar.
Yeah.
And then, and I was mean for a while. And then when I got unmean and off the sugar, I felt like so much better. And then stuff that was even mildly sweet tasted so gross.
It's like, it's like cloyingly sweet.
But then I got back on the something again.
And usually it's the holidays. It usually is. I mean, it's like, it's just around, right? And people just, it's hard to say no like multiple times.
I know.
Right? It's just that trigger. But
so somebody makes some tasty,
I know,
right? Better treats.
Yeah. But, and that's one of the things that I do. And I was talking earlier about the phases that I take clients through. And that is part of my reversion process, if you will, is getting people off of sugar and not entirely. I don't cut it 100%. I mean, we'll do a little bit of fruit or something like that. I'm not anti-fruit. Yeah. But it's really, absolutely. Yeah. It's really important that you take a couple of weeks with whatever it is that you're doing in any season of your life. If it's to lose weight, if it's after the holidays and you need a reset, it's really important that you're taking, I say 10 days to 2 weeks, and you're just cutting sugar. You don't have to go on a cleanse. You don't have to do any of that, but just reset and cut the alcohol, because at the end of the day,
that has a lot of sugar in it too.
That is sugar. But and give your body an opportunity to rid some of that inflammation, right? Because it just piles on. I mean, that's what happens. And that's why most of us, we just feel so gross. I mean, particularly around the holidays when it's bam, 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 right? And so, and that's one of the things that I do. I mean, I just teach so much is it's got to be moderation. I mean, it's got to be. So there's got to be room for cake and ice cream.
Right. So if you go to Thanksgiving, you can't just be there and be like,
no. And in fact, I tell clients, I'm like, you eat, no holds barred, eat whatever you want. Your goal is to push back from the table satisfied, not overly full. And you have to just remind yourself, you can have this again. You can have it again later today. You could have it again tomorrow. You could go to Central Market or Whole Foods in July and get it.
Yeah.
So it's
not a one-time only meal.
No, it's not. But we do that to ourselves, right? When there's a big meal in front of us, whether it's Thanksgiving or if we've worked really hard at cooking a meal. Oh, so have I. I mean, I've done it too. That's the only way I know how to coach it, right? Because 100%. So, but it's really important that we take some of those restrictions off. And there's a time and a place for them. Yeah. Like if you've got gut issues, then okay, so we need to restrict some things until you get healed. But it's not for life. Yeah. And so you restrict with a goal, right? Versus, and an end date, versus, I don't eat X. Right. Because it can be alienating. But it makes it very hard to be social and and I think, breaking bread together is, I think that's part of why we have food, right?
Sure,
I mean,
it's
sure,
for
fuel,
yeah.
but it should be enjoyed. And that's the thing. It's so important that we're looking forward to what we're getting to eat, regardless of, I mean, that's the thing, like this guy with the ulcerative colitis. I mean, we were talking the other day and he was like, oh my God, like I will not eat any different. Like I love the food that I'm eating.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's important.
So is there anything that we did not talk about so far that you would like to
let the audience
lovely
know?
People's here listening?
I don't think so. I feel like we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, and what I just really like is like how important that is, and what it seems like you're talking about with like the text and keeping up. That's what you do need.
It's the
like
accountability.
Somebody to be, because every time I've done something, I've had some accountability.
Yes. No, exactly. I mean, it's really true. I mean, clients,
because we can't do stuff on our own, really. I mean, you can, but and it's better.
You can
with some accountability.
But that's the thing too that I'll say is if you're really looking for life change, you have to have accountability. You just have to.
Yeah.
Because you got yourself where you are for a reason, right? Like, so, and you need somebody to coach you out of it because you're left to your own devices. And that's the thing too. What I would tell people is, I mean, I don't know a good example. Maybe I would pay a car mechanic to fix my car.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that by myself.
Yeah.
I mean, no.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So same thing, right? Like pay somebody to be the expert for you.
Yeah, I'm with that. And then just like get a jump start on your change.
Absolutely.
And especially because, and even though people say it, like everybody likes to start new stuff around the new year, but also it's a good time. You're going to start it when you want to start it.
Right.
You could start early too, Because
True.
every moment is a new opportunity, and you can be
That's exactly
ahead
right.
of the game.
I know, and I tell people, I'm like, oh my gosh, please start now. Like, at least, even if we
You can
don't,
still eat food on the holidays
that's
if
right.
you call Alex.
Even, and I do, like, I tell clients, I'm like, okay, so anybody who starts with me now, I'm like, if you want, let's do 4 months, right? And let's just take this month and just do some accountability, right? That's it. And then we'll take the next 3 months and we'll really hit it hard in January. Because I get the mindset, I really do. And people do, they tend to like take a step back from all of it at this time, like their health at this time of year, because it's just one more thing to think about.
Yeah.
And I get it, but you get a jump start.
Yeah, because
right.
it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. I mean, you can
doesn't.
still because like you said, there's at least 3 meals a day, and if you're only
right.
doing a dinner, doesn't mean you can't eat good two of them.
That's exactly right. And that's, I think, what a lot of people end up doing is they're like, oh, well, I won't eat 2 of them so that I can, save my calories or whatever. And that's always something that I really try to coach against is no, because then you're going to walk into that meal and you're going to be starving. Right. And then you're like, your blood sugar is going to be so low. You're going to eat whatever you want. Oh, I've done it.
I've 2,000 caloried up in like a sitting for just like,
yes.
I'm so hungry.
Yeah. Yes. And I saved for it. Oh my gosh. I thought about it all day. Right. So, yeah, no, it's better just to, and that's the other thing too, is God, and we're all going to do it, right? I'm going to do it. I'm going to sit here and say all of these things, and I'm going to have a moment over the holidays, I'm sure, where, I eat a little too much or, whatever. And it's so important. I mean, I think, this is probably some of the best advice that I give my clients. And I've just watched clients take it and literally change their natural default. Do the next right thing.
Love it.
Right? Don't throw in the towel. Right? Because we overeat, we get mad at ourselves. I do, I talk a lot about self-talk and negative self-talk and shifting that language, right? And it's just so important that we're just let it go. You can't fix it now.
Yeah.
So just do the next right thing, right? And get up in the morning and have breakfast, right? Even though I know you're like, oh my gosh, I ate so much food last night. It's okay, right? Get up in the morning and have breakfast and then have lunch, and don't, just keep feeding yourself the way you should be.
Yeah. And that's nice. And just that grace that you're telling people of like, instead of just like, oh, you dumbass, you just blah, 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 and all
There's
that,
too
just
much
like,
of that.
all right,
We're all so hard on ourselves in one area or the other, right? And some people, it's food in their bodies, and for some it's their work, right? Or their kids or their, whatever. And we just don't need any more of that.
Yeah. Not helpful.
No, it's not helpful. And that's one of the, I talk a lot about is just leaning into yourself, right? Getting curious, like, wonder why I overate, right? Like,
Yeah.
What's going on there? And listen, sometimes it's because it was just really that good.
Yeah.
Right. Like I just really wanted a second piece of chocolate cake. Right. And that's okay sometimes. And sometimes it's because, I was angry or I was embarrassed or I was sad, and so I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to open that up. And so I just ate. Right. And those are the kind of situations that, that tend to get out of hand. Right. And they become, an unconscious or subconscious habit. Right. So, and those are a lot of the things that we work through. And it goes back to that root cause, right? Figuring out what that root cause is.
Hello. Yes, if you do not fix the root cause, you just Band-Aid.
Absolutely. You're going to get on another diet at some point, right? You have to hire somebody else to help you. And it's, yeah.
Well, for all of you listening that want to get a jump start on balancing your life, and that's what I like about it. You're putting it just all together for people to have just a better life, be healthier. And that's long-term health.
Absolutely.
Because without your health, you ain't got nothing. I mean, because if you've ever just been down and you're like, man, like nothing's good. You know what I mean? And then you're just like, and you're incapacitated, but you can get healthy. You can be stronger.
Absolutely.
You can do all of these things. Alix Barth Nutrition. Is it alixbarthnutrition.com?
It's alixbarth.com.
alixbarth.com.
Yes. Yeah. My social is, so Instagram, Facebook is Alix Barth Nutrition.
Alix Barth Nutrition.
Yeah. Alex with an I.
Alex with an I, which I
Yes.
like that. It's so cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Me too.
And I just want to thank you so much for just being on and just sharing this. And especially when there's so many things out there and people are struggling. You're struggling with life and even with self-esteem and whatever messages you were sent or heard or saw about your worth. You are worthy as is, but you can feel it. get down to the root cause with Alix and have a better balanced life. And for all of you listening, you know that there is always another way.